All right, let's look at section 6.4, where we do some algebra of functions and then the composition and decomposition of functions. So we start off with these algebra of functions questions, where we perform an operation like subtraction or division or multiplying. Here we are given values to plug in. You will also be given your functions for each problem. We have f of x equals 5x, and g of x equals the absolute value of x plus 4. First, we find f minus g of 7, which is the same as f of 7 minus g of 7. And that's important to understand, that now we have to find what is f of 7 by plugging 7 into x, and what is g of 7 by plugging 7 into the x right here. So f of 7 is 5 times 7, which is 35. G of 7 is, I'll go down here. The absolute value of 7 plus 4, which is the absolute value of 11. That's an 11 inside absolute value braces. And the absolute value of 11 is 11. So we found f of 7, we found g of 7. That is basically what we are asked to find. So f minus g of 7 is equal to f of 7 minus g of 7. F of 7 is 35, g of 7 is 11. And so we get 24. You could also be asked to divide. So here we have f divided by g of negative 5, which of course is the same as f of negative 5 divided by g of negative 5. So what is f of negative 5? We use the same functions here. So 5 times negative 5, which is negative 25. G of negative 5 is the absolute value of negative 5 plus 4, which is the absolute value of negative 1, which is 1. So you are given a value to plug into your functions. Find what is f of negative 5, find what is g of negative 5, then put them together. Negative 25 divided by 1 is negative 25. So on each problem, you will be given your functions. You'll be given the operation to perform and a value to plug in. So find those values and perform the operation. Then, at number 5 on the homework, we get into the composition of functions, or composing functions, or composite functions. Again, you're given your two functions, f of x and g of x. We are told to perform what this is not an O. This is g of f of 5. It could read the other way, f of g of 5. You just take whatever it tells you. I always rewrite this as g of f of 5. And so if you had on your problem f of g of 5, again, it's not fog, it's a little open circle to represent of. And I rewrite it this way, just from left to right. Replace the of dot with this parenthesis. So it's f of g of 5. So perform whatever composition it tells you. Here we will do g of f of 5. And I like to write it like that because now I see that I need to find f of 5 and take that value and plug it into my g of x function. So first we need to find f of 5. We work from the inside out. So rewrite this using the parentheses, and then we see that this is on the inside, so we find f of 5. So I go up here. Wherever there is an x, I replace it with 5. So the left side just carries down. 5 cubed, 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 again is 125. Negative 2 times 5 is a negative 10, so we subtract. So that f of 5 equals 115. So again, just work from the inside out. And now we see that f of 5 is the same as 115. So what is this really asking us to find? G of, instead of f of 5, 115. And this will give us the answer. So now we have a value to plug into the g of x function. So wherever we see an x, we replace it with 115. Two times 115 is the square root of 230. And, oh yes, I do think you get these answers in ALEKS for that kind of problem. I thought this might come out to a perfect square, but there it is. So g of 115 is g of f of 5. And there's our answer. Finally, we have the decomposition of functions. And this is a little bit harder to explain, but it tells us to find two functions, f and g, such that h of x is equal to f of g of x. Again, rewrite this as f of g of x, like so. So I'm looking for two functions that I could label. We'll do 3 problems here, that we could label as f of x and g of x. And so we look at what's going inside. The inside piece is the g of x. So my inside piece for part A is the 9x minus 5. So that's the g of x. That is the inside piece. And then what is the outside? What is this getting plugged into? It's getting plugged into a cube root of, a cube root. And so we would call that a cube root of x. So that if I were to create h of x by plugging g of x into f of x, wherever an x appeared in my f of x function, I would replace it with 9x plus 5. And that would create this function, h of x equals the cube root of 9x plus 5. And that's all we really do here, is we look for what is the inside piece. So for part B, if h of x equals the absolute value of x squared plus 9, x squared plus 9 is the inside piece. So that's my g of x. What could we plug this into? We could plug this into an x that was inside of these absolute value braces. So f of x, the piece that g of x gets plugged into, must be the absolute value of x. And finally, part C. G of x is the piece that is on the inside. So what is the inside piece here? It is the x plus 8. And what is the x plus 8 being plugged into, which would be our f of x? X plus 8 is getting plugged into a squared parenthesis, or x squared. So the outside function will always just be an x inside of something, inside of a cube root or a square root, inside of a absolute value, or inside of a squared parenthesis. And then g of x, the inside piece, is the part that is on the inside. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.